So this morning I will be molding my sculpture of Shelly Duvall as the character Wendy Torrance from 1980's The Shining. I have everything laid out and I'm going to get busy making this mold right now. All right, I just cut some clay for my clay dividing wall. Cut more than I needed, but there's a reason for that. Yep. This was a really tricky likeness to get. It was a lot of work. Sculpting women, especially women, are hard to do likeness sculpts of because men, for some reason, have just much more defined features. Women's features are much softer, and that's the way it's always been. But it's a challenge, but I think I got it. Okay, now she's lying flat on her head, facing up, so I can apply the clay wall. I put a lot of work into this sculpture. I even put a lot of work into the teeth. Instead of doing resin teeth, I wanted to have everything sculpted. A lot of detail, skin texture, getting the eyes and nose and everything. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get busy here. The clay dividing wall has been applied. We are ready to do our first splash coat. How exciting. First splash coat has been applied. I did the burlap layer on the front, and then I put a coat of ultracal over that, which I'm just gonna smooth out a bit. I couldn't do a video of me doing the burlap because both my hands were covered in ultracal 30 wearing rubber gloves, and I couldn't handle my phone and do that at the same time, obviously. So what I do is I take a piece of upholstery foam here and I go one direction over the beauty coat to kind of smooth out the texture of the layer, the top of the mold. So it's not just all lumpy and bumpy. It'll be a little bit of that, but just wipe the excess off on the table. This is just so you don't have jagged edges on your mold that'll, you can get a cut on or something. All right, this is something I always do. The mold, this is very hot. I like to write on the front. So this is Wendy Torrance. And I know the ultracal set because you see how the Sharpie is nice and crisp. I'm just gonna write Wendy Torrance. And it's February 26th. All right, so I removed the plastic cups that I had. I use these plastic cups around the sculpture to keep the clay wall that I'm building around there, keep it propped up as an extra precaution. They're just, 1-quart cups that I use specifically for that purpose. I don't use these for mixing anything. They're literally just for that, just plastic quart cups. Now I have, as you can see, under there, oh, there's another plastic cup. Wait, I missed one. Keeping this sculpture propped up, Because down here, this is the, this is the metal pipe and this is the wood that I keep it standing up when I'm sculpting. But there's a piece of very thick, heavy-duty, firm styrofoam that's keeping it the back of the head up. It's a square. And I use that just for this purpose. And I'm going to now stand this sculpture up so I can do the front. See that? All right. All right, now, see, and it doesn't leave a mark. Look at that. See? All right. Okay, so the back of the mask is ready for molding. I have put another clay wall up here just to prevent the ultracal from sliding onto the front of the mold, a little divider wall to help keep it clean and neat. All right, the back of the mold is done. Just did a beauty coat, used a sponge to smooth it out. Now I'm gonna let it set and then I'll pry it apart, clean it out. There we go. Very gently, loosen it up. Now try on the sides over here. Looks like the front is coming off first. So I'm gonna hold on to that. And I could just pull it right off, or it should just come off. Don't want to drop it. Okay. Looks good. Let me show what we have here. So there's the front of her face. There's still some clay in there, which I have to clean out. And, you know, a lot of people ask questions about the little metal rods coming out of the eyes. You know, this is a perfect time to explain. You see, inside the mold, the eyeballs, those metal rods are attached to, they're inside the mold. That's permanently attached to the mold. The metal rod is encased in the front of the mold, so you won't see that. That way, when I pull the mask out of this mold in a few days or a day or two, that will cause there to be those little beige balls in there, flat balls on the end. Those will make the mask have empty eye sockets, which I can put eyeballs in. So the metal rod that you see in the sculpture becomes part of the mold. It's in there. You're never going to see it again. It's holding those beige half eyeballs in place. So that's how you make eye sockets in a mask. Hope that explains, because sometimes people ask, what are those things? And now you know. All right, the mold came apart great. Let me put some light on this. The mold came apart great. Still has some little residual clay I got to get out. There's some clay in the eyelids and eye area, very tight spots. So I'm put some water in there to loosen that hard clay, and I'll fish that clay out. But the mold came out really good, so I'm happy. Yay. Ta-da! The mold is done. The clay's been cleaned out. We are ready to cast latex in an hour or so. I'm going to let this sit out a few minor repairs in the mold, some small air holes here and there, minuscule ones, but I had to fix them. So I'm gonna come back down in an hour. I'm gonna mop the floor now. Cleaned up the workshop, but the floor needs a mopping. Everything's swept in the garbage pail. All right, well, the mold is done and cleaned out, and now I'm gonna cast some latex. So I do things my way, and I'm gonna show you how I pour latex. So I use these weights to keep the mold up, the front of the mold. I'm gonna spray it with some water, a little bit. And that is just so making sure any dry areas of the mold will help the latex hit everything. I'm just gonna pour some latex in the front, pour some latex in the back. I water down my latex a little bit so it's a little, this particular container, I keep it a little thinner so that it's not thick and it gets in all the tight spaces. So I'm going to use a chip brush to just paint it inside, making sure that I'm going to make sure it gets in the eyelids. You don't want air bubbles in there, and in the teeth and everything. But I'm gonna rock it around when I close it up, make sure it's spreading out really good. This is gonna be foam filled, so it doesn't need to be super thick or anything. But I definitely have learned to not make them too thin, because I still want it to be a strong skin. So I might do like 4 coats of latex in total after this initial coating here. So let's do this. Paint it around. Doesn't need to be perfect because I'm going to be filling this mold and sloshing around in a minute or so anyway. Now, one thing you'll see, I don't use those nylon straps for clamping the mold together. I stopped using those years ago. I hate those things. I use Gorilla Tape, black Gorilla Tape, which you throw out when you're done, but it's really super strong, and I think it works great. So, unfortunately, I can't show you draining because the camera's on the tripod right now. I'm just gonna scoot this around. I'm gonna pour this excess back into the bucket. Notice also I'm wearing stained clothing because I have a whole shelf in my closet of clothes I have just for the basement that are pre-stained so I don't ruin any more clothes. When I'm sculpting, I can wear anything because it doesn't, wet clay doesn't stain clothing. But latex and ultracal and all that. All right, so now that I drained it, I'm gonna now, with the spray bottle, spray inside just to pop any air bubbles. And I'm going to pour it again, drain the mold. All right. Back. This is a one-man show here. I'm doing this. Unfortunately, I don't have a crew to help move the phone so you can see what I'm doing when I move the mold off to the side. All right, just gonna move some clay, just making sure everything's in those, the chip brush to make sure there's no air bubbles in the eyelids. Here's a little thing I do. This is a air blower. If I just point this here and blow it, latex is gonna fly in. So I move, just like a hairdryer, I'm gonna turn it on and move it around, and that will help push latex maybe into all those crevices if it's just not in there enough, especially those eyes. So I'm moving it around, in the ears, in the mouth. should be good. I'll show you what that looks like. See, so all the latex is in there. Not going to worry about the back of the head because it's nothing in there except the back of the head. There's no undercuts or anything. All right, I'm going to put this together now. Okay. Perfect fit. And I got a really nice, I'll show you in a minute, seam line is really nice. Now, here's how the Gorilla Tape works. We use these weights, and I'm gonna keep this thing up like that. Gorilla Tape. Wrap it around really tight. And that's right in the middle. Now, I'm gonna do, keep this up. That's good. I'm gonna do another piece on the bottom. I'm gonna do 3 pieces of Gorilla Tape to keep this thing together. I mean, it'll stay together with 1, but I'd just rather do 3, because better safe than sorry. All right. Up. Pull it tight. Press it down. Good. Now, turn this. I'm going to do here. Now I use the weights to prop it up. And now I just make sure it's all pressed on firmly. It's good. Now I'm going to show you inside the mold. See, I got a really nice seam. But now, I'm going to pour latex in, and then I'm going to pour it right back into the bucket and let it drain. Just going to fill it up. Chip brush to just paint, and also I'm going to paint over the edge. The reason I do that is when I foam fill it, if any foam filling gets over here, it won't stick to the mold because there'll be latex coating it. So I go out of the edge on purpose like this. It doesn't need to be that thick up top, that's just the edge of it, but really it's the head, it's the face that needs to be, I want that to have a good thickness. All right, pat it. If there's any air bubbles, it'll pop up. Do a little vibration. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to turn this, pour it back into the bucket. Now, I will show you, I'll turn the phone, you can all see in a second here. All right. So now, I have the mold draining into the 5-gallon drum, and I'm gonna let it sit there about 15, 20 minutes. And then when I take it out, I'm gonna also look in there and use that air blower to blow the ears and the eye areas around a little bit, just to make sure that there's no air bubbles. Okay, all the latex is in the mold. I'm letting it sit facing up, but it's drained already. I'm just gonna let it sit up like this. I want anything that's still in the face to drain down towards the neck. And then I'm gonna let it sit out overnight, and then I'll put the box fan in front of it tomorrow. Put about 4 layers of latex in there. Should be more than thick enough for a foam filling and have a nice thick skin. All right, well, I cast Wendy and I just foam filled her. So I will take her out of the mold tonight. Okay, here's the first foam-filled casting right out of the mold. Have to do a few repairs, have to trim all these seams and everything. Got a couple of small air holes, air bubbles in here, but I can fix that easy. But it's a really good casting, so I'm excited. Okay, so what we have here is, what I do is, since I'm doing a bust, I take upholstery foam, which is like these sheets, upholstery foam, and I cut them, and as you saw before I did this, the cast just ended here. So I extend her body, I make a little bit of the torso, and the arms, not the arms, but the width of the arms, because if you see, she's a very small framed woman. She didn't have very wide shoulders. And I use Gorilla Tape to wrap it up. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take latex and I'm gonna paint with a chip brush, just cover all this, just to give it a little extra durability and let that dry. Now the reason I can do this is she's gonna be completely clothed. You're not gonna see, she's gonna be wearing 3 layers of clothing. She's gonna have a turtleneck on, and then a button-down shirt over that, and then those light brown overalls, although it's gonna be cut here. You're only gonna see the top half. So you're not even gonna see you're not even gonna see her neck. All this is gonna be covered in clothing. So this is just meant to complete her form. I prefer doing it this way instead of sculpting. Like I could have done the sculpture and had the whole thing, but then it's a bigger mold, it's more clay. It's much easier if you're never gonna see under the clothing to make it with upholstery foam. That's how I see it. Anyway, I'm going to now coat that with latex, let it dry, and then I will finish trimming these edges, and then I can start to paint later. I'm excited. All right, it's covered in latex, it's wet. I'm gonna let it dry a couple of hours or so, and then I can finish trimming the edges and start to paint her soon and finish her. All right, well, seams are cleaned up. She's almost ready for paint. All set up here. Got to choose colors. Got to get busy, but I am very excited to start to paint her and finish her. So let's see what happens. All right, we got some flesh tone down on there. Some other things. This is going to be a subtle paint job. This is not a monster or anything creepy. This is just a lady. So I'm going to let this dry before I do a wash of raw umber over her flesh. All right, well, I did a few raw umber washes on her. She's coming along. I think all the flesh tone is there. Still need to do a lot more things to her, but I think she's coming along. I'm trying to do a subtle paint job on her. I don't want to overdo it. She still needs to look like a regular human being. I might have to put a little mist of white over her just to make her a little more pale. But under this lighting, she looks very yellow, and she's actually not. But video can be deceiving. All right, she's pretty close to being completely painted, I think. I'm gonna let this paint on the mouth dry a little bit, and then I'll take a closer look, see if I need to add anything. But it's pretty clean, and I think it looks good. Okay, we're gonna put some eyeballs in her now. Hazel, 4th Seal Studio eyeballs. And I want her looking with this exasperated look on her face. All right, those are gonna have to be shifted a little bit, but they're in. I just put eyelashes on her. They really help a lot. Pretty cool. All right, I put the shirt, the turtleneck on her, and the shirt. Still need to put the coveralls in her hair and her eyebrows. Could take a little padding out of there. She might be a little too wide, but we'll see. We'll take it as it goes right now. Still figuring this out. She needs her eyebrows, her hair. But I think the clothes look pretty good. Rubber cemented on. I have to trim her hair now. All right, went on well. I gotta do some trimming now. Oh, what do you know? Shelly Duvall's here. She's not, her hair is still being tweaked. I have a lot of pictures of her hair. This is the outfit, I'll show you. There's no light on that. That's what I was trying to recreate, kind of as close as I can. I'm not doing the baseball bat, obviously. I got to work on her hair a little bit more. What I did is, we have and I'm using a rubber band for the ponytail right now. A few wisps of hair coming down, and the bangs. The lighting here is terrible. I don't have proper lighting right now. When I take a real photo shoot later, I'll have good lights.
Please! Don't hurt me!
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Stay away from me!
Wendy!
Stay away!
Darling! Light of my life! I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Stay away from me! Don't hurt me!
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Stay away from me! Stay away! Please!
Stop swinging the bat.
Stay away from me!
Put the bat down, Wendy.
Stop it!
Wendy, give me the bat.